Wilder Fury, the deals that could derail the bouts fans crave. At its core, boxing is a simple sport, a battle between two fighters, primed after months of training in often unsophisticated surroundings, armed only with hands to cause and avoid damage. However, in a trade rife with contradictions, it's perhaps fitting that money and politics reign supreme. While fighters search for an edge on their rivals amid the austere surroundings of the gym, the real battles are being fought in the boardrooms, and in the shadows of the bright lights. It's there where promoters and TV executives jostle for position and strike deals which benefit themselves, their fighters, but rarely smooth the road of negotiations. Rarely was this more evident than on Tuesday, when it was confirmed that Deontay Wilder's rematch against Tyson Fury was off, for now at least. Only last week the lineal champion declared he would fight anyone and urged his rivals against using boxing politics to avoid him. Now we know Team Fury will take a detour on their assault of the heavyweight division. In theory, the Gypsy King is only kicking the can down the road. After all, what harm have more months of trash talk and anticipation done to a promotion? Yet Wilder, like everyone else scarred by experience, knows better than such optimism. "You sorry began his foul-mouthed response to Fury's decision. Boxing fans, too, are growing weary. Often accused of being fickle, they are right to feel robbed. In the era of padded records, pay-per-view and splintering TV coverage, this stings. They're paying for their brief temerity to dream big." When Fury twice climbed off the canvas in his draw with Wilder, the foundations were laid for a truly great era of heavyweight boxing. 3 months on, we know no combination of Fury, Wilder and Anthony Joshua, who faces Jarrell Miller on June 1, will fight before the autumn. Many fear they will never meet at all. It's a grim prospect but one which doesn't seem to faze Fury. "I've got nothing to prove," he told the BBC last week. "If the rematch happens it happens, if it doesn't, it doesn't. It's not the end of the world. It's only a boxing fight." His is a diplomatic outlook, but one seemingly at odds with a man who shed 10th Street to relaunch his career. He continued, "I want the rematch to happen, so let's make it happen. We're better than the biggest TV station in the world to do it." Here lay the most telling line of his answer, the moment the mask slipped ever so slightly. For Fury, a man of rich fighting stock, is not immune from the business of boxing. Last week he signed an £80 million deal with Top Rank and ESPN to give himself a springboard into the lucrative American market. It was a tactical move, too. By aligning himself with ESPN, Fury and Frank Warren believe they will no longer have to go cap in hand to talks with agents. Not that that counts for much now. For not only are Fury and his rivals walking separate paths, they are actively entrenching themselves in opposing territories. They are all now sided with different promoters, each of whom have different affiliate TV networks, each of whom pay big money for big fighters to appear only on their channels. Fury is now aligned with ESPN in the US, BT in the UK, and promoted by Frank Warren here and Bob Arum in the States. Edge is an Eddie Hearn fighter who fights with Sky, UK, and DAZN, USA. Wilder's situation is a little more complicated. He is promoted by Premier Boxing Champions, who have broadcasting deals with Showtime and Fox in the US, and ITV on these shores. The Bronze Bomber is co-managed by Shelley Finkel, trainer JD's, and the enigmatic Al Heyman. He fights on Showtime, but insists he is a free agent. Yet he and his team have resisted offers to fight on both DAZN and ESPN, while the waters are muddied further by rivalries among their promoters. Arum has labeled Heyman boxing's Mr. Cancer, and Hearn believes PBC chief Heyman isn't his biggest fan, either. Relations between Finkel and Hearn, meanwhile, has soured in recent months as negotiations over a fight between Wilder and Joshua hit brick wall after brick wall. Confused? Join the camp. Rival promoters and networks can work together, of course, but it's rare, and even more so when the stakes are so high. In this case each team blames the other. Hearn insists he has reached out to both Wilder and Fury to make the fights, only to be rebuffed. Finkel has revealed the deal and offer to fight Fury effectively meant signing Deontay over to ESPN and Top Rank, something they didn't want to, and are not going to, sanction. On Wednesday, meanwhile, Warren made the extraordinary claim that botched rematch was the work of Fury's U.S. co-promoters. ESPN/Top Rank are insisting they want to give Tyson an exposure fight in the States first. "I'm very disappointed we're not going straight to it, but it is actually beyond our control," he told TalkSport. "It's enough to give fans a headache. And they are within their rights to ask why? Why are these promoters and TV networks robbing them of the fights they want? Patience with fighters is wearing thin, too. Though few fans doubt their willingness to fight one another, the importance each fighter places on percentage points is causing eyes to roll. Fury demanded a 50-50 split to face Joshua. Wilder felt he was being undervalued in original negotiations with Edge. Don't even mention the $50 million offer that Hernan-Co insist they never received. Dillian Whyte, too, turned down seven-figure paydays to face Joshua, so lowball did he consider the offer. Unfortunately, this is how the cards have fallen in modern boxing. Fighters have become too valuable to promoters and networks alike, while Edge and Co are, perhaps understandably, too proud to undersell themselves. Unwavering self-belief is one of the key weapons in their armory, after all. What of solutions? Is there any end to this circus? History tells us one is unlikely to be forthcoming. Riddick Bowe vs. Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis vs. Bowe, boxing, and in particular heavyweight boxing, is littered with huge fights that never happened. Promotional and broadcasting rivalries could well rob us of other big fights such as Chris Eubank Jr. vs. Billy Joe Saunders, too. Yet boxing's greatest businessman of them all, Floyd Mayweather, showed us there is a way. After years of failed negotiations, money finally struck a deal to fight Manny Pacquiao in 2015, in what remains the richest fight in history. The clash was shown on both HBO and Showtime, with Jimmy Lennon Jr. and Michael Buffer sharing mic duties. It was a poor fight, and 5 years too late, but surely anything is better than this alternative? Amid all this, it's easy to be skeptical. But there remain some optimists, chief among them Hearn, who hopes the collapse of Wilder-Fury 2 could open the door to a fight to crown the division's undisputed king. Wilder has said he is a free agent so he can box on DAZN and Edge can box on ESPN and Showtime, he told Boxing Social. The only one who's actually restricted now is Fury, I think. If I'm Al Heyman I'd just go and make the Joshua fight. He added, DAZN won't get in the way, and we won't let anyone get in the way of an undisputed fight. The only snag? Joshua is contracted to Sky and, according to Hearn, wants to be with DAZN for the rest of his career. The world awaits. Just don't expect many to be holding their breath.